Thank you for everyone for coming in this hot weather. We'll do roll call, so Sue, you can just, we'll just
Sue
have everybody.
Polidoro here.
Jim?
Here.
Yeah. This is Jim, who is
he's
zoomed in a couple of times.
Peter.
Oh, Peter,
Peter,
sorry.
I
I'm
zoomed-
sorry, Peter, I know better. All of a sudden, my mind is so, I am sorry, Peter. Michael Griffin.
Present.
Myself, I'm here. Dee Dee Forte.
Present.
And Celeste Brooks. And again, I apologize, Peter. I think it's something about sitting here, having to run a meeting gets me all mixed up.
Understandable.
Yeah, so even though I've done it a number of times lately. First, we have to approve the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to read it?
Move that we approve the minutes.
You move to approve. You second. You second it.
Yep.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. On the top of the list is not a quick slideshow, but we're going to do it real quick because a couple of things came up at the last minute, and we'll answer some of the questions that are on the agenda or cover some of them. So I can come over there and do it.
Sure, you're
Yeah, why not do that? And that way,
You can go back and forth.
there are a couple of places, no matter what I did, it would not put it back in order.
Let me see if I can share screen so that it will show on the show on the Zoom. Well, we don't have anyone on Zoom
Yeah,
anyways.
no. She said she wasn't sure if she
Okay.
can make it or
All
not.
right, there you go.
depending
And
on
she
how
just
tired.
texted me and said she's trying to
I'm
get
sure
in.
she's exhausted.
Okay, we'll just kind of. It should pop if,
Yeah.
or I
It-
can share screen.
Yeah. Will it ring when she tries to get on?
I think so.
Okay.
Or I can formally share the screen. You know, let
Yeah,
me share
fine.
the screen
Yeah.
so if she comes on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Where's the share? So I've been bouncing back and forth between Teams and this. Okay, and share. There we go.
Okay, great. This first slide is where the reinterment is going to take place, that we just briefly spoke about, the remains that they found in the construction when doing the rebuilding of the wall. Someone did take down one of the tags, but our fence post, and there's 3 that are there, and the missing one is in the middle. So just keep that in mind, because the next slide is not
It
that.
is.
No, there, okay.
That should do it?
Yeah.
Has the date been set?
No.
No, we're going to talk about that. I did, what did he?
Hang on. Let's go here and try and advance it. Oh. Shoot.
Yeah, it should just go with the, oh, there we go.
Yep.
So keep that picture in mind. We got, for some more information later on, we did, the city, I think it's Jake that came down, or Jay, came down with the water truck, and he did have to refill it once with a power washer, and I can't believe until I put this together today that I didn't take a picture of it after we washed it.
That is after.
No, it's not. No, it's not after. All that black down in there and over there is much lighter. The top over here with that, it's grayish black, that has all faded away too, because I've been checking it every day, or not every day, but when I go by, I look. So I will get another picture. But anyway, it took about 3 hours. He had to go back and fill up the tank once to complete it. And I did help him, so I sprayed D2 and helped scrub and stuff like that. So it was a good day, and so that was done about a month ago, I think, is roughly when it was done. Next one is just to show you how good head cleaning is going. This one is in North Cemetery, and I personally cleaned it back last June, a year ago, June. And this is what it looks like today, with nobody touching it.
We can
Admit.
Good, yep. Okay, we can keep going.
Okay,
Should be
so just to show you how well this product can work. So it's been over a year, and it doesn't even have anything on it right now. I was up there last week. So just to show everybody how well the product works. Someone from City Hall, or I don't know if it was you or not, forwarded me an email from the signers, descendants of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, which is located out of Virginia. And I spoke to the woman, and she is really nice. This is what they did a number of years ago. They had a little ceremony, and they put this on his tomb. What their next project is, they want to dedicate any headstones that belong to the wives of these signers, that they were, even though they didn't physically sign the documentation, they were a part of all of that. So I did, this is Mary Whipple's headstone, which is next to his tomb. So I have forwarded that information on to
Not his
them.
wife.
Well, I mean, what did I say?
You said Mary?
Yeah.
That's not his wife. His wife is Catherine, and she's buried it at the Landon tomb.
Everything I looked up online said he was married to Mary Whipple.
Catherine, Mary was his mother.
Okay, so, and that's also the name they gave me.
Yes, Catherine Whipple was his wife, and she's buried at the Landon.
Because she was
tomb
the Langdon.
Because she was a cousin of the Langdons.
Okay, I thought of you when I did this, but I trusted one of the, and it wasn't Wikipedia, but anyway, I will look into that.
According to Sukopedia,
Yeah, I was just going to say our North Cemetery.
his wife is Catherine.
Okay, so I'm glad I ran it by this. So onward, so I will solve the debate on Catherine or Mary.
Yeah.
Now, this goes back to that very first picture, that the headstone, I mean, where the sticks were marking where the tubes are for the reinterment. I looked at a lot of, or contacted a lot of granite places, and they wanted an exorbitant amount of money for anything, basically. Even if we did 2x3s and numbered them over each tube, and then it had a larger one, we were talking about $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, depending. Once we got to a certain number of letters, then they started charging you by letters, and that was pretty common. I contacted 5 places all over the state. So went back to, you see these kinds of bronze plates all over town, or any place actually, but around our town too. And Crown Trophy, which is out of Concord, New Hampshire, they deal in this. I actually drove up there last week, and these are just copies of the 4 different sort of styles that are available. And his price, you know, a long skinny one if we wanted it, more of a rectangular, smaller type thing, and then more of a square. What we would have to do is, Catherine Wheeler, who is the archaeologist, offered to write up some sort of dedication for the site. And these bronze can be buried in the ground too. They don't have to stand up or be mounted on anything. So if we get a brief statement from her of what she would like, then we would send in a proof of, you know, whether we put a City of Portsmouth logo on, sign on the top, and then have, description or a dedication written below. Then we send it to them, and they would sort of judge what the best style, how to fit it into a plaque. These were all just to give you ideas of the different kinds that we can get, how simple or how fancy that we want to make it. So then it takes approximately 4 to 8 weeks to, well, they can get back to you in a day and a half on what the price would be and send a proof back to be okayed, and that it doesn't cost anything to work with them. If people didn't like it, then it could be changed again. And then it would take,
Sue, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Eva.
yeah,
Hi.
hi.
Do they tell you anything about, what materials hold up better?
Yeah,
And they do?
yeah, really, the only thing is either bronze like this or granite.
Yeah.
And there's also, he showed me some other material, but it's just really skinny, and it might last, it made for outdoor, but it's really more like a laminate, so it would go over. Like
Yeah,
pieces.
that looks like a laminate. But, it's hard to tell on my laptop, but okay.
It would
thanks.
go over whatever, like whether cedar or what have you, but it
Yeah.
might last about 10 or 15 years. There was no guarantees or even
Yeah.
estimates of how long it might last, which makes sense
Okay.
because you don't know what the weather is.
Well,
So,
right.
so once the design comes back and it's approved, right now lead times are 4 to 8 weeks. And the other thing I found out when I was doing research on using granite, there's a granite shortage right now because of all the floods that have happened up in Vermont and up in other parts of New England. That a lot of the granite sites are, I don't know if they're still flooded, but they can't get in there. So that's also an issue that popped up.
Wow.
So that's so if we did that and placed it, we could do something like this, which would be a piece of granite, and it could go over, like a foot marker, could go over each, the location of each stone. And the other thing, Corin and I talked about it, is that when we cap the PVC, he's going to seal it with some sort of whatever it is, so it can't be unscrewed very easily. And then we could put something like this over the top of it. Or I came across this, and I have no idea how much, it doesn't, and that's in Sagamore Cemetery, how much anything like that would cost. I didn't even price it out. I saw it a week or so ago. And it doesn't even have to be set on the granite piece. We could get pieces that were long enough to stand up on their own. Oh, well, maybe we couldn't because it's not that deep down. Anyway, we could do something like this and have 3 upright stones if that's what we wanted to do, or depending on the cost. So that's where we stand with all of this at this point. And I know you said you wanted to talk about a time, and I didn't know if, or set a date. I did speak to Pastor Jen at North Church, really nice woman, really young. Well, I say really young compared to me. Really nice, and she's really excited about doing it. And gave her just the background. She wanted to know who was being reinterned and that sort of stuff. So she's on board with doing some sort of ceremony that day too. So I didn't know. I mean, like when we bury somebody, that unless it's in a predetermined grave site that's already has a headstone. I mean, we are, the norm is to bury people and not necessarily have the marker there that day. So
Yeah, I like having the marker
That's what I
there,
thought.
particularly given that we'll be working to kind of inscribe it in a way that tells, in short,
Yeah.
the story. So let me ask this, and I don't think we're fixed on how it looks, but are you thinking based on kind of the options that you've been kind of
Yeah.
exploring with Corin, that it's 3 capstones and then a single bronze plaque, or were you thinking a bronze plaque
Oh,
possibly
just
over
a single.
each? Okay.
I was thinking, so
Yeah,
we
'cause
would
there's-
put a cap, the caps would be sealed.
Yeah.
Then we could either put like a footstone
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah.
And then, right where the tree is, maybe in front there.
Yep.
Put the plaque
Bronze,
right
yep.
there. So, I mean, that would be the least expensive way. Not that, anybody really wants to be cheap about it, but all of these things are very expensive, so to get
Yeah, I
done.
know Corin thought something that lays flat would be actually better.
Yeah.
In that spot.
Yeah.
Does that concur with your thinking?
Yeah, because who knows what kind of roots are there too
Yeah.
with that tree, so. Because the other way we had looked at it was, doing a plaque on each spot or each tube, but that would have been like $9,000 because they would have been individually, even though, and I said,
We
well.
don't have individual names.
No.
or-
Right. And I asked, can't we get a discount? You only have to set up once, like whatever it's going to say. He goes, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. So obviously they weren't interested in working with us.
Yeah.
So,
3 capstones and a nice plaque sounds
Yes.
nice. I don't, thoughts?
anybody have
Maybe-
any other ideas on, Corin and
It's too
I
bad
are.
Sears doesn't make headstones anymore.
Yeah.
The what?
Sears used to make headstones that were really popular. I'm just thinking it's too bad they don't do them anymore.
Sears. I don't know, we could contact.
So what we could do is we could chase that down a little bit. If the committee's thinks that kind of direction is good, then we'll see if we can firm it up and
Yeah, the price would all
that way
depend
we
on
get something ordered.
what Kathy
Yeah.
writes, how big
Yeah.
it is. But yeah, he said typically on the stones, the bronze, that anywhere from $150 up to $500. So, compared to what prices I was getting, and I can't imagine footstones are that expensive, and as much as I hate to say it, Corin, they might be able to come up with something anyway if they have a free moment over there, because we have all kinds of granite sitting over on Constitution Ave, so.
If it's not
That's what I
good
was
enough for
thinking.
curbing.
Yeah.
There's granite on the side of the road there, right on Constitution.
Oh, yeah,
A whole
Yeah.
pile of curbing.
yeah,
There's places all over town that there's piles of granite. Not all over town, but there's different places.
yeah, well,
We do have our eyes on reusing some of it, so,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
The smaller pieces.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and he has said in the past that gentleman that makes the signs and things like that works
Yeah.
with granite too, so.
Oh,
Just
Again,
take one of those long pieces and put it in there and inscribe, remains number 1, remains number 2.
Well, yeah, when we get down to that point, but yeah, I agree. And a lot of things are possible, especially once we get something physical as far as the plaque and then take it from there. So, do you want to contact Kathleen and
Yeah.
get her to?
Yeah, why don't you and I set up a meeting and we'll talk with her.
Okay, yep, no problem. So that, I think I went through.
What is the distance between the total overall distance? I know you're missing the middle stake,
Oh, I know. I can't remember.
10 feet?
Maybe that.
Maybe. I was going to say, I remember, because I drove by it this morning and I was actually paying attention. I'm like, there's a stake missing. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, it's been missing for a while. And I have the measurements written on something at home. But, yeah, it's not extremely long, I mean, a great
Right.
distance. The tubes are actually placed, because Kathleen was with us the day that Corin and Max dug up to find the caps. They're they're down about 3 or 4 inches now since 2016, and they're supposed to be roughly in the locations where because the coffins went out like this, so they're roughly in the locations where
The rest of the
they found the remains, yeah. All right, so if no one else has
Do you
any,
think the appropriate time frame would be to get this done before winter?
That's our goal.
that's our goal. There's no, I know what you're saying is,
Yeah.
but there's no real deep digging, so if we're lucky, frost. I mean, we'll just see as soon as I can get something from Kathy, and then we can get that right off to Crown. We'll have a better idea of how. But I would think even, because I've planted tulips in November and the ground's not super frozen or anything
No,
usually then.
you could. Go back to that slide with that little pedestal cap.
Which one?
Looks like a little
Capstone.
tiny pyramid.
Oh, where am I? Oh.
Oh, I don't know where it went. That one.
Yeah. That, I was just thinking the caps aren't very far down, but they don't have to be buried right over the caps because they're going to be sealed. So we could still put them in there in front of the cap to make sure that they stay in the ground. Yeah, that came out of your cemetery too, or one of your cemeteries. But it's funny, I wrote around a lot of different ones and I just couldn't find anything, and then came up with these two. Oh, the other one. I mean, it's really just a matter of preference and cost, I would think, at this point. Any other questions?
Will we be prepared to vote on the resolution next meeting?
Hopefully, if we, yeah. I would think so, because this is it's still the first of the month, and if Kathy Wheeler's not tied up with, traveling overseas or something, she might be able, she probably already has something written, sort of knowing her that
Yeah.
she's been looking forward to getting this done, so.
The other option is if we, because of the closing window, if we wanted to, we could call a special do a quick poll
Yeah.
of the cemetery committee members and say, hey, are you available?
Yep.
And if you are, that's great. We'll know it's a short meeting just to look at that and get that done, set a date. So,
A lot of people in the city
Yeah.
will be happy when this is done, too,
Yeah.
so I think that's great.
yeah.
I mean, I think we should do it anyway, but I mean, it will take one of those. So I have to, and I just wanted to show you these two. Out of all our cemeteries, Union Cemetery is the worst as far as cleaning goes. I personally cleaned this one, and it took me five cleanings to get it down to there.
Whoa.
So, and I'm not complaining, I'm just saying how bad. And Sue's been over there too. We did go through one of the, a couple of people on the city crew help when they come. They participate in cleaning and doing stuff like that, which has been really great. And so this last time when I was working on this, Fran was doing, he must have sprayed about 60 headstones, and he sprayed a couple of these, but he focused on the headstones. And I've been going down, luckily we got all that really heavy rain, and it has made a difference. They're not by any stretch of the imagination even as clean as this, but they're getting closer to where you can read them than before. And some of the others that we had sprayed up front 2 cleanings ago, and then we came in and cleaned again. are just about really clean. I mean, they really don't have to be touched. It would just be trying to be more perfect or anal about it. So, yeah, so it's going well, and this product really works well. So I would recommend it to anybody going forward. And I have had contact with a few other cemetery people through my travels, and everyone uses D2 now locally. They all rave about how York and Kittery both use it. So I think that's all the pictures on there. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll bring a new picture of, oh, wait, I thought I had the doors on here. Wait a minute. No. I had the doors for, that's all right, I'll bring it up next. I did bring individual pictures of the 5 doors at Cotton Cemetery, up-close pictures. You can see which one has already been repaired, and the other, those 3, and then the double door makes 5. Still going to try to get into, because Dick Adams has been saying that there's a downstairs where that double door is, and that he knows the doors are down there. So, and he said he was going to try to get down in there, but I haven't heard anything from him. So, anyway, the only difference it would make if the old doors are down below and they're even near being restored, it might drop off some of the price. But the price right now to get the double doors and the other 3 or 2 in the middle just scraped and repainted and secured in a couple spots, and then the other door you can't see it because it blends in with the granite on the end.
It's made out of wood.
Is made out of wood. So the price that we received was $2,400 altogether, and we paid like $8 for just the one. So that's still pretty cheap, and he did a really good job on that other door.
Fabulous job.
So
So 2,400
to clean,
to clean.
to take care of, and with a possibility if the other doors are downstairs, depending on the shape, it might be less money. So anyway, and then while I have it up here, Corin wants to, well, I do too, but where the blank granite is right there, put Cotton Cemetery in the same font as what is on the corner when you proprietors, and it would be in the same genre of the, I don't know if you can. The reason I know this isn't a clean one, because now when you ride by, you can see the 1854 there. It stands right out. There's no black in the way. So it would blend in with what that number of letters are inscribed. He would do or not him, but he has someone that does it, or knows someone that does it. So, I mean, with the doors fixed and inscribed, so everyone will officially know where Cotton Cemetery is located, that would finish up at least the presentation of the cemetery. I don't think it's ever gotten the recognition it really needs, because no one knows it's there, or everyone just thinks it's South Street. And it's our second oldest cemetery in the city. So it goes Point of Graves, Cotton, Pleasant Street, then North, and then Union, and I think Hall Cemetery actually comes in after Cotton, before Pleasant, or vice versa. But those are the oldest, and they're all 1700s when they were officially started. So, does anyone have any questions for any of the slides?
Well, the sections beneath the masonry brick.
Yeah, that's all been cleaned.
Okay.
Everything's been cleaned. And I just can't believe that I haven't taken a picture of the finished product. But, yeah, and we're still going to work on trying to get rid of some of that tar that's on the stones up above the brick. Somebody, when they retard up there, whatever that building is, just let the tar just drip down the front of it. So, and we tried a lot of things that day, and nothing worked. So, nothing may work. But the rest of it is actually being clean and much brighter than what it is right now. So, any other questions for this part of the agenda? All right, so point of grades. I already mentioned, I think, at the last meeting about the wall being damaged, but it's holding up. So, one of the reasons I keep bringing this back up is because this whole thing about Point of Grace started from a neighborhood meeting when they asked the mayor to, the Friends of South End asked the mayor to do something about this wall. So I'll just keep, upgrading or keeping, updating. And I think, Suzanne, you had said that things might be moving down in that part on Mechanic Street between the utility spot and the drain, the septic thing, that things might happen, or a pumping station, I should say.
Station, yeah.
So,
Might
yes,
happen.
but not this year.
Well, I mean, Peter had said to us like 4 or 5 years out, and I know you can't tell us when it might change, but.
Right, we're looking at whether to move up the project, the Mechanic Street Pump Station project.
Okay. So my other thing
Because we're
is,
developing the CIP
Yeah.
this fall, so I think we're going to have a better understanding of which projects are going to get sort of where in the cycle, and that edge,
Yeah.
that lower edge, that low point would
Yeah.
be in probably an area that we'd study as we look at that whole area and how to meet the long-term needs.
right,
given.
and so does that sort of eliminate us from being in the Prescott Park water testing? They didn't even do that this year, did they?
Right, we wound up not doing as much as we thought we would do, and there's revisiting of the scope of work and next steps, so,
Okay, so just as long as
yeah.
the Friends of South End ask again,
Yep.
we can,
A couple of things that came out of that parking and traffic meeting this morning is that they are removing some parking area from that Mechanic Street.
yeah,
And to make the traffic, because right now there is some areas that are so tight, even the emergency vehicles can't get through.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make an area no parking, so at least delivery trucks and that kind of thing will
yeah.
be able to move about.
They have to back all the way into Gino's. It's a horror show.
I know.
I don't know, I was sort of hoping that it was really destroyed, so we could have, not really, but it would have added. And another, Suzanne and I talked just briefly 1 minute a while ago. I've been looking through old pictures, and the outside of Point of Graves, the wall, is not worth fixing. I mean, that overcoat is just crumbling and all of that. So I found a picture that goes back, I think, to 1835 or something, like a painting. And as best as I can determine, it was all brick, probably from whenever the first time they put up a wall around it. So I'm sure they didn't do it for the cows, though. You never know. And I don't know how, I mean, that was back in the 1600s, so. So I'll just keep doing a research, or if anybody finds a picture that goes back farther than the turn of century 1800, share it with us, and because I'd like to tear down everything and either put up, a new brick fence, or a wall, but or if something that would be appropriate of even putting wrought iron around the whole thing. So, because the gate is, all wrought iron and everything. So there's nothing urgent down there that has to be looked into at this point in time, luckily. Hall Cemetery. I think it's great news because I've been working with Max. Max came up with, we've had, I think, 7 different tree people have come and scoped out Hall Cemetery. And I think I said last time anywhere from 100,000 to 60,000 to down to, I originally got 3 for 15,000 because I told them that's all I had, that we had. Well, we went back, we found one of the original people will do the section, the actual cemetery section, Knowles, for like $11,000, not even that, I don't think. We've talked to neighbors. I just happened to be there when we were doing a walkthrough. One of the neighbors was there, and he's very excited to get it done because we're going to take 4 of his trees down, which could fall on his house. So if we want to go up the hill, it won't be on his property, but we didn't offer. Noel said they would like to take those trees down. And the big bone of contention, or the elephant in the cemetery, is that big white ash. I mean, it's huge, and it's dead, and it needs to come down.
Yeah.
So that's the driving force, or part of the driving force. So, and the homeowner agreed with it too, that ash is in pretty tough shape, and he doesn't want to wake up in the middle of the night and have half a house. So that was good, and I made contact, and so did Max, with the homeowner on the other side, who's selling to the homeowner across the street. But they're both in agreement that we could go up there. It's a big open space, and there is an incline, and that there might be a little bit of grading that needs to be done, but neither one of them had a problem with that, because especially the soon-to-be homeowner wants it cleared out, the cemetery too. So, and then we know Petra and the other gentleman on the other side, they won't be involved on the cemetery end of it, but then the other gentleman that came in, he's actually going to do it the old-fashioned way. They're going to climb trees and just take them down, because he said it's faster and easier because it's such a tight situation. And then he can get a small piece of equipment up in there that will chip all the wood and leave a really great walking path up there. So it'll take care of anything that should try to grow up again, and we won't have to haul everything out, which is what a lot of the other people wanted to do, and we'd have to get patrol and tie up the street.
Who was that guy? The tree?
Seacoast Trees. It was somebody that Corin knew, and he came down right away after Max called him, and he was great. And so, and he came in at 9,000. So I know Max was going to take it to Peter.
And I know that Peter has signed off on releasing the funds for the work. So that's my happy news for today. I saw that come in on the email.
I'm gonna have to scoot, so
Okay.
I will see you guys.
Bye. So, you really have to give kudos to Max. He has really worked hard on this, and
Got quite a crew. They took down that Siberian elm today, gone.
where on?
Middle Road.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's just done a fantastic job, and he's learning like we are as far as what procedures are. So, yeah, we've been buddies about it. So, great news. So, I'll let you know when they're talking about, he'll update us. Let's see, Cotton Cemetery, we talked about all of that. Pleasant Street, there's nothing urgent over there. The only thing I'll say about Pleasant is last year, they did go over there and limb up the cedar trees, and it doesn't look bad at all.
Those were arborvitaes.
Oh, they were? I thought they were cedar, whatever. The greens that were
They did a
there.
wonderful job.
Yeah, and they did fill in, which is what the big debate was. They won't or they will, and it looks good. So there's nothing urgent over there. North and north. The only thing I have to say to that is we haven't cleaned the last couple of back rows down in the back. We knew that only because once we get down back, even for Union, it's going to be a hassle getting water and stuff down in there. So, however, I did an addition. Let's see, that we've totally cleaned Point of Graves, totally cleaned Cotton and Pleasant Street, which adds up to, and part of North adds up to 1,728 headstones, but we still have roughly 1,300 to go. So
It's not bad.
I don't think so. It's only been a year and a half. So we've done really, really good on that. And our, I don't know if anybody saw it, I did get into Facebook a call to clean headstones. And I've gotten 2 responses out of that. So, and we did make it into the newsletter, and Monty did a really nice job doing the write-up. And he said going forward, we could submit any kind of history about the cemetery, and if he needs space or has room, he will gladly put it in the newsletter, which will be nice. Union, the seawall is still in the permitting situation.
Yep. So we've been back and forth working with the contractor, and we need to work with the abutter to see if we're back to discussions about staging and getting the equipment in through that way. So we're trying to handle that, but I talked with Christine, and they're working on it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, all of this
yep.
takes time. Then the backside of North is going to, as far as I know, and Suzanne can confirm, is going to be rolled into the new outflow that's going
Outflow.
to take place down in there.
Yep.
So we may not cost us really anything, depending on what the state comes back with too. So, because they're still really big into natural plantings and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see. What else? CLG, the Certified Local Government. I still haven't heard anything back on that. Did you have a chance to talk to Peter Britz?
I think I dropped the ball and forgot to ask him where that stood.
That's all right. I can email him just, hey, do you know anything about
Yeah,
it?
you could ping him and
Yeah.
see, because I knew there was something I forgot to follow
And
up on.
and again, that will help us with getting more funds and things like that. But we were like 2 items short right before Nick left, and so that got put on the back burner. I have caught up with Corin, signs for dusk to dawn, and the New Hampshire Registry sign for Union will be put back on the schedule to get done this fall sometimes along the line, and those are going down into, well, obviously Union, but also down at North Cemetery. So database, again, has got hung up for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, and
Okay.
so Katie at the library is going to contact Adam one more time and see
Okay.
what the holdup is. So
Okay. I'll follow up, because it did look like there was communication, but
Yeah. Yeah,
I feel like there's left
and
hand
Katie
right.
even thinks it's done for some reason. Well, because
Yeah.
it was said that it was done and was supposed to be tested. So there's just some sort of miscommunication. We talked about the reinterment and the descendants of the signers. I don't have anything else. thank goodness. So,
What's the level of involvement of the Elks with presenting wreaths on the graves of Revolutionary War?
they haven't approached me in a while, so I think they already have the list of where the revolutionary headstones are. However, and I warned them that they need to walk the cemeteries way before
Oh, yeah.
that day, because you'll never find them, and that there are maps around. So, I mean, I can touch base with them and see if they need any help from us, per se, but I'm not even sure who's still leading that. But I'll check.
Okay.
And just for general information, I am doing a slideshow for the DAR on our historic cemeteries. And I'm hoping that what I put together, it's a little of the history of each cemetery, some other not so well-known people who are buried in them. Like I found out this one gentleman was a famous balloonist back in the early 1800s, and he used to go all over the United States, but he lived here in Portsmouth, and there are articles in the Gazette about how excited people were because he would give people rides in the balloon from downtown Portsmouth and stuff like that. And then we have another gentleman that developed the hand compass, who was internationally known, and I have all the stories on him. He's buried. So, I mean, there are a lot of people that I've done some research on that don't focus just on Whipple and Langdon. Peter Shore, you know, was on,
Does he have a compass rose on his grave?
no, he doesn't.
Should be.
No. No.
Where's he buried?
He's buried in North Cemetery. He's also one, he and his wife are the first two Catholics to be buried over there. So that's how I got. And then Jane Boyd was Captain Boyd's wife. She's buried over there. But she did, I have her death notice in the newspaper, and she did all kinds, she was well known for her volunteerism and things like that in the community. So it's people, and there are a lot of ship captains over there, buried over there, and I got names of some of their ships that can be connected to them and the trips they made. So more than, not the builders, but the actual captains that sailed them. So that created that triangle of sugar and molasses and rum back in the day. So, yeah, so that will have a combination. So hopefully from there we can use it for, add things and use it for other things. So, does anybody have any?
What is Dick Adams doing his presentation? Is that on Saturday?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him. Is he doing one down at South Cemetery?
No, it's over here in Langdon Park or Haven Park.
Oh, no, I didn't hear anything about
Some
it.
Civil War encampment for the whole weekend.
Oh, there is? Oh, wow. I haven't even seen it in
And he's doing the
Seacoast.
history of the Kearsarge, which is that naval war vessel in the Civil War.
Right. But there hasn't even been anything in the newspaper about it.
What newspaper?
Well, I did the Dollar for 6 months, so I do read it. So, but usually they have
It's on that little city newsletter site.
the city newsletter or the,
Do you get that every Monday?
yeah, is it in there? Oh, I didn't
It
know.
might be. I'm
is.
trying to think.
Oh, I'll have to go
Yeah,
back.
I know I read it somewhere.
Okay.
It's probably the one.
It's going to be busy this weekend because of
I
peas.
know.
Right.
Let's hope the weather cooperates, yeah.
No. I don't know.
Lots of thunderstorms coming through, and then
Oh,
a
yeah.
week from tonight, we'll probably have a hurricane out there.
Yeah. I said, I just want to read this real quick because it's one of the things I put in the slide, and then we're done if no one else has anything. And I thought it was quite appropriate, not to sell why we should repair our cemeteries here in Portsmouth, but show me the manner in which a nation or community cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender mercies of its people, their respect for the laws of the land, and their loyalty to high ideals. And it was on William Gladstone's headstone down in Point of Graves. So I just thought that was a pretty...
Very good, yeah.
And that was back in the 1800s, early 1800s. So I come across these things and it keeps me going. So
Keeps you cleaning.
any
That's how you get your nickname.
yeah, obviously, really. And I will have to put my grandparents in one of these slideshows because that's how I got going at Pleasant Street Cemetery. If no one else,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
we're done. So thank you, guys.